through the knots with patience, washed it with rose-scented shampoo, then massaged her scalp until Amina melted into the chair. "You've got good bone structure," Zara said, examining her face. "Strong cheekbones, clean jawline. All we need is to give you back the glow life stole." She went to work. Foundation, highlighter, contour, liner, brushes swept across Amina's skin like whispers of magic. Her reflection in the mirror started to shift. Her tired eyes brightened, her lips softened, her brows arched with definition. When Zara was done, she stepped back and said simply, "Look." Amina turned to the mirror and gasped. The woman staring back wasn't a ghost anymore. She was radiant. Her skin glowed like gold dust. Her hair flowed in soft waves that framed her face. Her eye sockets, hollow and haunted, were now sharp, luminous, mysterious. There was a woman in the mirror she didn't recognize, but also didn't want to stop looking at. She touched her face, stunned. Zara smiled. "You haven't changed, Amina. You just came back to yourself." Zara dressed her in a silk robe and left her alone for a moment. Amina sat quietly, staring at herself in the mirror. She thought of the nights she slept in gutters, the days she stood in lines for stale bread, the insults, the silence, the way people avoided eye contact when she begged. This faceless woman had existed under all that pain. Tears pricked her eyes. She wiped them quickly. There was a soft knock again. This time, it was Deji. He stood at the door, one hand in his pocket, the other holding a phone. His eyes scanned her from head to toe. He froze. "You," he whispered. His voice trailed off. Amina crossed her arms, a sudden wave of self-consciousness washing over her. "What?" "You look," he cleared his throat, looking away. "Never mind, Zara's good." She arched a brow. "That's all you have to say?" He chuckled softly. "It's better if I don't say anything else." For the first time since she met him, Amina noticed something different in his voice. Hesitation. Regret? Longing? She couldn't place it. He held out the phone. "Zara wants to know your shoe size. She's picking up something from her studio." Amina took the phone, mumbled the size, and handed it back. "Dinner's in an hour," he said. Then, softer. "You did more than I expected, Amina. Thank you." She blinked. "I haven't even gotten to the wedding yet." He nodded. "Still." And with that, he left. Later, Amina sat alone at the dining table, dressed in a flowing, pale blue dress Zara had left for her. She felt surreal, like a dream that hadn't ended. Like she was pretending to be someone else, but also like she was closer to who she truly was. Deji walked in dressed in a dark fitted shirt and gray trousers. He looked different now, softer, less like a man in armor, more like someone trying not to feel too much. Dinner was quiet at first, just the soft clink of cutlery and the occasional question. "What's your favorite food?" he asked suddenly. Amina looked up. "Before or after I became a ghost?" He winced. "Sorry." She gave a small smile. "Fried plantain and goat meat, with real pepper. I used to buy it every Friday after work. Before everything." "You'll have it again," he said gently. She looked at him. "You always speak like you're sure of things." "No," he replied. "I speak like I want to be." They ate in silence again. Then, as he poured her water, he paused. "You don't have to do more than walk in with me tomorrow. No pretending, no lies, just stand beside me." She nodded, but something about his words rang strange, like he was trying to convince himself more than her. After dinner, she returned to her room, washed her face gently, and stared at herself one more time. She didn't know what tomorrow held, but she knew this, whatever Deji wasn't telling her, it went deeper than a broken heart. and she was no longer just a girl from the streets. She was walking into something bigger than both of them, and somehow she was ready. By 10 a.m., Amina stood before a full-length mirror dressed in a blush-colored gown so sleek and stunning it felt sinful to breathe in it. The fabric shimmered faintly, clinging to her like light on honey. Zara had returned that morning with a pair of nude heels, a matching clutch, and a delicate necklace that looked like it cost more than Amina's entire existence. Her hair was swept into a soft updo, her eyes lined with a golden tint, her lips colored the softest plum. She looked like someone who belonged in those bridal magazines she used to flip through at hair salons when business was slow. Someone wealthy, someone wanted. She turned when she heard footsteps. Deji stood at the doorway, dressed in a tailored black suit, every inch of him crisp and calm. He paused. His breath caught, but only for a moment. "You look," he started. Amina raised an eyebrow. "Don't say expensive." He chuckled, tension cracking slightly. "Number I was going to say dangerous." She smirked. Same difference. They stood there for a moment in silence, two people dressed like royalty, masking histories full of ruin. Then he offered his arm. "Ready?" She hesitated, then took it. The ride to the wedding was silent. Not awkward, just thick with unspoken thoughts. Amina's fingers curled around the edges of her clutch as they neared the venue. She could see the massive hall up ahead, swarming with guests in dazzling attires, camera crews, and security guards. This wasn't just a wedding. It was an event. A spectacle. There were floral arches stretching like bridges over a red-carpeted entrance, and a fountain that sprayed pink champagne. Expensive cars lined the parking lot. The air smelled of imported perfume and ego. The kind of event only Nigeria's elite could stage. Amina's stomach turned slightly. She hadn't expected this much excess. "Don't panic," Deji said quietly beside her. "I'm not panicking," she lied. "You're doing great." She turned to him. "We haven't even entered yet." He gave her a faint, knowing smile. "It's already working." "What is?" "There's stairs." The moment they walked through the grand doors of the wedding hall, the atmosphere shifted. Heads turned. Voices dropped. Eyes narrowed. Every movement slowed like someone had hit pause on the party. Deji bellowed publicly, ghosted by his ex and absent from the elite social scene for years, was now walking into her wedding looking like a god, with a goddess on his arm. And that goddess was Amina. She held her head high, shoulders straight, chin up, even as her heart pounded like thunder in her chest. Whispers swirled like perfume in the air. "That's not his usual type. Where did he find her? Is that the new girlfriend? She's stunning. Wait, didn't his ex cheat on him with the groom?" Amina caught a few phrases, but she kept her expression blank. Deji leaned in slightly. "You're already making them uncomfortable. That's power." She didn't smile, but her fingers tightened around his arm. Then she saw her. Tari, the bride. She stood on a raised platform, receiving guests, her lace wedding gown hugging her figure like it had been sewn by angels. They found their seats near the front. More guests filtered in. Speeches were made. Jollof and champagne passed around like business cards. The hall buzzed with surface-level laughter and social politics. And underneath it all, tension simmered like oil on fire. Amina watched Tari interact with her new husband Dotun. He was handsome, suave, but in a way that felt plastic, practiced. Every smile seemed timed, every gesture coordinated. And then something strange happened. A woman from another table came to greet them. She smiled at Dotun, kissed his cheek, and as she walked away, he stared after her a little too long. Amina caught it. Then she glanced at Tari, whose smile remained frozen but whose eyes had narrowed slightly. "Interesting," "You okay?" Deji whispered. "I'm watching," she whispered back. "What do you see?" She sipped her drink. Cracks. An hour into the event, the MC took the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen, as tradition goes, we now open the floor for toast to the beautiful bride and her dashing groom." Applause. Then, from the crowd, "Let Deji talk." A ripple of murmured gasps. The MC paused, surprised, then laughed nervously. "Well, if Mr. Deji Bello would honor us." All eyes turned to him. Amina felt his arm stiffen. She turned to him. "You don't have to." He stood slowly. The hall went silent. He walked toward the stage, every step heavy with something no one could see but Amina felt. Not anger, not pride. Closure. He took the mic, looked around. Then he said, "First of all, congratulations to the couple, truly." Soft claps. "I came today not to relive the past, but to acknowledge it." Murmurs. "I was once told I'd never rise, that my dreams were too big for someone like me, that I should stay small, that I didn't belong in this world." He looked straight at Tari. "But here I am." Silence. Not because I wanted revenge, but because I remembered who I was before someone broke me. Then he turned, held Amina's hand, and added, "And because I met someone who reminded me what real strength looks like." Tari's face went pale. Gasps. Amina swallowed hard. The crowd erupted in polite, confused applause. But in the corner of the room, Tari's father chief Ajayi was no longer smiling, and he hadn't taken his eyes off Amina for the last 10 minutes. The applause from Deji's toast had barely faded before Amina felt the shift. Not just in the air, but in the way people were looking at her now not as a stranger or a temporary distraction. Number. Now they were watching her like she was something dangerous. Tari's fake smile had vanished completely. She was whispering something to Dotun, who kept darting glances at Amina, trying not to look obvious and failing. But what rattled Amina more was the cold, unwavering stare from the man seated 2 tables away, Chief Ajayi, father of the bride. He looked exactly like the kind of man who could make someone disappear with a phone call thick neck, ash gray agbada with intricate gold embroidery, and eyes so sharp they seemed to cut through marble. He wasn't smiling, and he hadn't looked away from Amina since Deji had held her hand during the toast. Zara leaned over then, her voice low as she poured Amina a drink. "That's not a man who likes being surprised." Amina nodded slightly, not taking her eyes off him. "He knows you're not one of them," Zara continued, "but he doesn't know who you are." The words landed like a punch in Amina's stomach, because neither did she. A few minutes later, as the dance floor came alive and guests began to mill about, Amina excused herself to the restroom, but she didn't go there. Instead, she slipped down a quiet corridor lined with gold-framed paintings and marble busts, hoping to catch her breath. That was when someone whispered from behind a curtain, "Don't trust anyone." Amina froze. A hand emerged from behind the velvet and pulled her gently into a small side room. She almost screamed, but the face that met her was familiar. The old man from earlier, the one who had whispered something strange during the cocktail hour. He shut the door softly. "I knew your father," he said. Amina's pulse spiked. "Excuse me? Your real name is Amarachi Iwuchukwu, isn't it?" She stepped back. "How do you?" "I work with him," the man said, voice trembling. Before Chief Ajayi had him silenced, Amina stared at him, her blood cold. "My father, he died in an accident." The man shook his head slowly. "Your father was the only man brave enough to expose the oil embezzlement racket Ajayi was running with 2 former ministers. He disappeared 2 days after he submitted evidence to a journalist. His family, your family, was blacklisted. They tried to erase you all." Amina felt like the floor had vanished beneath her. My mother died of cancer shortly after, she said slowly, the memories rushing back in painful waves. I was just 15. I thought we were cursed. I didn't know. They made it look like fate, like poverty, but it was designed.